Is variables on both sides, and this is our notes that we have. And make sure that you read what it says right here. So it says decide which side to move the variables to and which side to move the constants to. So basically it's your job to say, okay, I want to pick this side to be the variable side, or this side to be the variable side, or this side to be the constant side, or this side to be the constant side. And remember, the constants are the numbers without a variable, which would be those. And then your variables here are obviously the ones with the letters. Okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to make it easy. It says, another hint says, which way can you move it to move to make positives? So to make something to make positives, I want to be able to, when I add or subtract or whatever, I want to make sure that it's positive, or you can make it negative, but I've always found it easier to make it positive. I'm going to call this side the variable side, and this side to be the constant side. Okay? And here's my river I've drawn down. And remember, every time you move across the equal sign, you have to do the opposite or the inverse. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to move all the variables to this side, and all of the constants, or just the numbers, to the left-hand side. And so I'm going to move the 3x over here and do something with the 4x. So I look at the 3x. It's positive. So since it's positive, since I'm moving it across the equal sign, it's going to become negative. And I subtract negative on both sides, and he's gone. And what I'm left with is the 2 equals 4 minus 3 is 1. And I still have the negative 1. Okay? So here's my second step now. I got to move all my constants over here, because here's the constant, and he's still got to move over here. Because remember, this is the variable side, this is the constant side. So I'm going to move this 1 over. He's going to cross the equal sign, so he's got to be able to do the opposite, which is a +1. And I'm going to +1 over here. So he's gone away now. He goes to 0. And I'm left with x. 2 plus 1 equals 3. And that is my answer. So I've solved my answer now. I now know that these x's that are next to the 4 and the 3 are 3. That's the name of it. And I want to check my answer. And when I check my answer, both sides should be the same. So let's check my answer. I'm going to take the 3. I'm going to place it in here in the blanks, because that's where the x's were. This is where the x was. So now I'm going to change it into what it was, 3. And then I can do my math. 3 times 3 is 9. 9, and then plus 2 equals 4 times 3 is 12 minus 1. So 9 plus 2 is 11. 12 minus 1 is 11. And you see that they both balance out. So I know that my answer has been checked. Okay, so that's pretty much variables on the both sides right there. Okay, let me show you another one. So here's my constants. Here are my variables. And I want to pick which side, which side can I make the move positive. That's one that will be able to help me to be able to find which one I want my variable side. So here's a +8. So if I move him over by subtracting from a -3, I'm going to get a negative. If I take this -3 and add it to a +8, I'm going to get a positive. So I'm going to make this my variable side, and this my constant side. So all I'm going to do is move this y over here and move this 9 over here. And remember, they go across the equal sign, so I got to do the opposite of each. So he's gone, so I'm left with 11y minus 9 is equal to 2. Now I need to move this constant 9 over, and when it goes across the equal sign or across the river, I got to put a plus with it. And I now have 11y equals 11. And then this is basically a one-step problem. I can then divide by 11 on both sides. And when I do that, these y's cancel out. 11 divided by 11 gives me 1. So that is my answer there. So then I can check it. So now I know that the y value, there's my y's, or should be 1. So I'm going to put them in here. This is where the y's were. I'm going to put in the 1. And I'm going to do my math to see if they balance out. So 8 times 1 is 8, minus 9 on that side. Negative 3 times 1, which is negative 3, plus 2. 8 minus 9 is negative 1. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And you can see that they balance out. So my answer of negative 1 is the correct one. Okay? And you can see I made it positive by moving those things across. I looked at it. If I move this over to a negative 3, it's negative 3 minus 8. Oh, it's negative. You could do that. It does not matter. I just find making them positive makes it easier. It does not matter really which side you pick. So there's 2 examples there for you. I look at another one here, which says you try. So I would like for you to try that one right now. So you can pause this and try this and see what you get and check your answer and see if that answer would be correct. Okay, so you should be able to do that and you can check that answer. It should be okay. So make sure you want to make things positive, or you can make it negative. Just pick the side you want to move your variables to. Pick the side you want to move your constants to, and see what it would be able to give you. Remember, if you go across the river, you got to change the sign. Okay, so I'll let you work on that one, and you can always check your answer on that part. Okay, as that goes. Now, down here, these things get a little tougher. Okay, because right now we have, these are some bronze levels. These are going to be a little tougher than what you did for the other ones about the trying problem that you did up there on the top. These bronze level ones are going to be a little tougher because sometimes you've got to do a little cleanup first. And that's either by distributive property, I'm going to put distribute, and then either by the CLT, combining like terms. So if I look here, I got to combine my terms together. And here they are. They're all on one side. So I'm going to combine my terms there. 7 minus 3 will give me 4x. And then I can solve that problem by dividing by 4. And I'm going to get my answer to be 1. And I can check my answer. So every x now, which is right here, is going to be 1. Should equal 4. Let's see. 7 times 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. And I'm subtracting. And that equals 4. And that is correct. So I know I have my answer. Okay? Here's another one. Okay, so I have another one here. I have negative 7x minus 3 equals negative 7. Well, you should be able to do this one. You should be able to clean this one up by bam, bam, bam. So I get negative 7x plus 21, negative and a negative, equals negative 7. Subtract 21 on both sides. This right here will give me negative 28. Divide by the negative 7. Lo and behold, I get the answer to be a positive 4. So I'm just going to check it. Here's where my x would be. I'm going to put the 4 in there. So I solve this. I do inside the parentheses first. 4 minus 3 is 1. So I get negative 7 times 1 equals negative 7. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7 equals negative 7. So I know I have that checked out. Okay? So those are kind of review questions that we've done before as far as our bronze level go. What I want to do is let's see if you got your answer right up here on the top. So these are variables on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this the variable side, this the constant side. And I'm going to move all my variables over and all your constants over. So I'm going to add the 4 x to the x. And I'm going to be left with 3 equal to 18 plus x plus 4x. It says I have 5 of them. Then I'm going to move my constant over. Remember, this is the constant side. All my numbers should be there. So that's a plus, so I'm going to subtract. Give him 18. He goes away. 3 minus 18 is negative 15 equals 5x. Now, just simply to get rid of that 5 so I can solve for x, I divide by 5 on both sides. You should have got the answer to be x equals negative 3. And you can check it by putting it in. 3 minus this right here is going to be positive 12. 18 plus a negative 3. It's 15 equals 15. And there it is. It checks out, so I know that my answer is correct. So your answer you should have got there, hopefully, was negative 3. Okay? Here's one more for you to do. And this is where we're going to probably stop today. When you come back on Tuesday, we'll be looking at the special cases. We will have probably an IXL assignment to do some more practice on these, with what they'll be doing. So you solve this one. Clean it up first. I'll give you a hint. This one looks like it's going to have some distributive. I would distribute first. You're going to end up giving this on one side and this on the other. Check to see if you have to combine like terms, and then just solve. So it looks like now after we distributed there, that you should have a pretty much a straightforward problem where you can move them across the river, and you have variables on both sides, and you can be able to solve. Just make sure you pick which side you want for your variable, which side you want for your constant. And this is pretty much where we're going to stop at. But the big thing is when you do these is that you want to make sure that you pick a side you want to move your variables to, pick a side you want to move your constants to. Then just move them across by doing the opposite. So if it's a positive, like this one, if I want to move them over here, I'm going to do a negative. If it's a negative and I want to move them across, I got to do a positive. So it's just basically like that. Hopefully that will work with you, and we'll check you up when you come in on Tuesday. Thanks.